Hello, everyone. This is John Cruz,
I'm Matthew Cruz.
and we are the owners and operators of the Reppert Education Institute and the Reppert School of Auctioneering. And we are bringing you another education guidecast where our goal is to discuss specific topics that are very relevant in today's 2020 auction world, and particularly topics that are going to help each of us navigate it and how we are navigating it being in the business. And today, we're going to get right down to it, and we're going to be talking about appraising and valuation of assets belonging to our clients or potential clients. And I've been, appraising things for my entire career, and I have to. Matthew and I were just discussing, and I've signed a lot of auction contracts for collections. And in 20 years, I've signed one where I did not have to go in and actually value every single lot. And, Matthew, you've been doing appraising at a very high level, and kind of recap your credentials on that for us as we get ready to talk about this topic.
Sure. We both obviously, or not obviously, but have the GPPA designation through the National Auctioneers Association. So we went through their program to do that. I've also done that for real estate appraising. So I'm an Indiana certified general appraiser in the state of Indiana, which is the highest level of appraiser license you can get for real estate. I also have my SRA designation from the Appraisal Institute, which is the senior residential appraiser. So every day of my life at this point, I'm pretty much doing some type of valuation for real or personal property.
Excellent. So what is happening right now with COVID-19 is unprecedented. And I think that what is extremely important to think about is we really don't know the shakeout or effects to individuals and companies yet. We're going to be seeing it. We're going to find out what it is here over the coming weeks and months. But I believe that we're going to be in a situation where folks are going to, for various reasons, some will be perhaps hobby-based, where they're just going to want to get out and trade and play. And what is my stuff worth? But I really think there's a high probability that there's going to be a lot of clients who are in a position where they really need to sell something, and they may not be going broke. They might be. So it may be an auction is going to save their family business or a company that they've been building for years and years, or a lot of other scenarios. And knowing how to approach value is going to be extremely important. We all want those folks to come to you as the auctioneer first. And we believe that the auctioneer should be professional, and not just professional at bid calling, which is wonderful, but really a professional at dealing with all aspects of this. So whether that is the accountants, the attorneys, all those folks should be being coached by the auctioneer if we are properly equipped. And that's what we try to do at auction school when you go through pre-licensing, or you're just wanting to learn through those courses. But today, since we don't have a course here coming up until the end of July, we just wanted to bring some of this to you. So Matthew, maybe you can share obviously our general approaches to valuation for everybody that's listening.
Well, it helps to know what you're doing and have some experience in knowing values and things. I had a friend that has a couple of Airbnb houses that they've rented out. And obviously during the current crisis, that business is totally cratered, and there's basically nobody running that stuff. Airbnb said you had to refund everybody. And so they came to me and they're like, well, should we sell all the furnishings out of these houses and try to get long-term rentals, or actually sell the properties? Or should we try to hang on? And so the answer to that question, you have to be honest with them. And, so would I like to sell their stuff? maybe, but in reality, I mean, we're talking about household goods and furniture that's probably not really going to sell for that much. So in reality, my advice to them is, I mean, you can try to liquidate if you want, but I think you're better off holding off, because that stuff is not going to sell for near what it's going to cost you to replace it if you decide to change your mind in 3 months, which very well could happen. So it's just a matter of knowing what people have and what is being valued in the current marketplace. I mean, we've had a couple of celebrity type auctions that had to go online only, and that stuff is sold for probably as much or maybe even more, because you have a bunch of rich people sitting at home with nothing else to do, so they're willing to buy online at an auction. And so it's okay to sell that kind of stuff, but other things that people may not need as much might not be the right time to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and whether we're talking about replacement or even current market value, and one thing that I've learned, and I focus on collector cars predominantly, so I'll use that as an illustration. When I see an appraisal or someone says, "Hey, I want such and such for my item," and I was like, "Oh, well, how'd you come up with that?" "Well, I had it appraised, so back when, whatever." And internally, I kind of chuckle, and externally, I am actually disappointed, because a lot of fair market value appraisals are not actually fair market value, and it's very difficult when we go to sell something, when some other professed professional tells a client that, hey, your item is worth X, when we all know in today's market it's worth Y or maybe Z. And so I think that the authenticity of the auctioneer, and that if we tell them something and then they turn around and hire us and we sell it for somewhere significantly lower, obviously that's bad business. We don't want to do that. So we really need to be in tune with today's marketplace, and we can't control the market. And all of us who are putting values on other people's items are doing it with the best knowledge that we have of current market conditions for that particular item. But we don't get to dictate the market. We don't want to. We want the free market to do its thing as part of the allure and fun or excitement of auctions, even in serious or grave times of sale. And so I think that the frankness of appraising, and like you just said, Matthew, like saying, hey, whether it benefits us as auctioneers or not, you've got to tell your clients or potential clients the truth. You can't overestimate an item just to get a deal so you can turn around and make a commission that sells for less. And I would say in today's market, that has never been more important, because a lot of people are going to be making decisions based on how you value their items. And they may say, hey, I need to raise, $200,000 to save my business, to cash flow it, to acquire this piece of equipment, to keep it going, whatever. And if you tell them it's worth 200,000 and you're way off because you're not on it and you didn't appraise it properly and it's worth 100, now not only did you sell their asset, they planned for that, and you can further decimate their business. So I mean, it's just something you got to be real careful with.
Yeah, because one of the issues with appraisals in general is the purpose that the appraisal is done. Mm-hmm. So if you're getting an appraisal for insurance purposes, typically that's going to be on the really high side and not going to be relevant to trying to sell it on auction. Even a fair market value appraisal, for whatever reason, is not necessarily the same as auction value, which is more what we'd call orderly liquidation value. And so it is more important than ever in these times, where when we have a situation where maybe there's a downturn, there's uncertainty, people don't know for sure what to do. Now more than ever, you have to make sure that you're on it and make sure that you're not exaggerating to get a deal, or there's always a range in value. I mean, most people want us to come down to this single number, but there's probably a 5% range, you could argue, almost all the time on any item. And so being on the high side of that right now is probably not the wise thing to do, when in reality, it's probably more likely to be on the low side just because of uncertainty. Although, by the same token, there are always opportunists out there that want to try to take advantage of auctions. And so then taking advantage of them in this current situation of COVID is even more that way because they think no one else is going to be out there to do it. And so that creates that allure that much more. And I mean, the other day I showed a house Sunday, literally 5 days ago. They were holding all offers until Monday at 4 o'clock. They got 18 offers in a day and a half. So a lot of people aren't supposed to be out and about, but when it really comes down to doing business and getting a deal, people are still out there. And I think as soon as this is over, things are probably going to be okay, but you don't know. But more than likely, enough people are going to try to take advantage of that the market's still going to be good.
And I think what we've seen in real estate and collectibles, things have been pretty stable in some non-auction transactions. And some of the uh, high-end collectible things have actually been up a little bit because people are at home doing that. They're on their computers. And then for general industry items, the market is still pretty active, right? I mean, you think about a piece of equipment or perhaps livestock, things that you're actually using. They're commodities. You need them to do things. And I know I've was on an online auction with another company, bought a piece of equipment that we needed here at our campus. And, I mean, I wasn't, I mean, obviously, like anytime you want to get as good a deal as you can, but I needed the piece of equipment. That was not going to make or break cash flow for a month for anything. I think most people view that. So there's going to be few items that are a few categories, I believe, that are significantly off in today's market, with the exception of the following. And that is if you have a item that is lesser than what normal should be, quality condition type thing, regardless of category. If I'm going to buy a piece of equipment, I don't want a crappy piece of equipment. I want a decent piece or a good piece. And if you're going to buy, again, a lot of what I do, these collector cars, if I'm going to buy a car, the people who are still buying cars right now, I want the best car. If I'm going to spend money, I want the best. Same, I think, with real estate. I mean, what are you seeing with that?
Sure. I mean, it goes across all categories. I mean, I was trying to buy a new webcam. And so I get on to the manufacturer's site and, they got a $75 one, a $125 one, and $200 one. Well, you go to actually buy them right now and they're all out of stock. So the ones that you got to buy, the $75 deal costs you $200. Well, in reality, that's sort of reflective of the market. And so what did I do? I went ahead and bought the better one and paid $225. So the spread wasn't as much, but I still got the best one because it was just a better deal and the right thing to do. When it comes to real estate, I mean, it all comes down to location and whether you're willing and able to buy. And so right now we still have a bunch of people that are ready, willing, and able to do it. And when they find something that's the right location and the right size and meets their needs, they're going to pull the trigger on it and buy it. The issue, like John said, and this is always an issue, people are like, oh, I saw this, car sell online or on TV for this amount. Well, but yours is not that. It's the same make and model, but it's not the same condition, doesn't have the right options. It's not as nice. And so those kind of things are not going to sell as well. I mean, and you can't appraise them, with the same things because they're not. Condition is an underrated thing. You saw it starting with coins, 30, 40 years ago where we started grading those. Then it happened a lot of, like sports cards became a big thing. And condition matters. And it's a significant issue, and you need to be aware of it, be able to verify, what you really have and match that up with what people want and determine the value then based on those two things.
I think here in today's market, the support and interaction of auctioneers is going to be important, where you may be in a position where you are going to be entrusted with an auction sale. But there's going to be some items you just don't know much about. And a lot of times an auctioneer will be hesitant to call a competitor or someone that is maybe a specialist. But, I think now more than ever, you just got to throw those, whatever emotions or thoughts that are usually negative aside for the betterment of our profession for those clients, because we cannot, as an auctioneer group, do anything less than the best for these clients in these times. And so if you've got questions, you can reach out to us, send us a message, call us. If we don't have the answer, that's not a field of expertise that we've worked in, we can connect you with someone. Our Reppert fraternity is vast and expansive, and it's the biggest one in the world for people who are conducting auctions and selling all types of assets. So we have the resources for you here. So please use us. And we appreciate you listening. We're looking forward to connecting with you in person at our upcoming class here at the end of July. And we have another one coming up in December. And so we're grateful for your listening, and we'll look forward to connecting with you again soon.